In this video, we're going to be taking out the VRC 1997 Williams F1 car for a bit of a race at Donington against the AI. And we're going to be talking about this mod car, why you should get it, why it's fun, and what it's like to drive. Let's go! Right guys, we're on the grid here. We are of course using the Valve Index headset, which is currently, I have to say, probably my favourite all-round VR headset. Comfort, visual clarity, though I do occasionally miss the Pimax width. But all in all, I really like this VR headset. We're of course using the FANATEC CSL Elite Formula 1 rim and the CSL Elite wheelbase with the load cell pedals. FANATEC affiliate link in the description if you want to get any FANATEC stuff. And we are pretty much ready to go with this mod car. We've got medium tyres. We've just got a little 7-lap bash race here at the fantastic Donington. So let's just double check that everything's all going, recording. Yes, we're all good there, and we are ready. So before we actually drive, it's worth just mentioning how gorgeous, let's get the camera straightened up here, how gorgeous the cockpit is in this vehicle. Unfortunately the light's blocking it a little bit, but you really notice with 90s Formula cars how you seem to be much further forwards in the cockpit than you are on more recent Formula cars, because in these cars the idea is when you crash into a wall, your legs take the impact and they're just shattered into lots of little pieces. It's painful, but it makes it more interesting for the spectators. The result of sitting further forwards in 90s F1 cars is that you get much better view of the wheels and the actual placement of the car, and I find it a little bit more exciting than modern Formula cars. You're also not sat quite as low. I mean, I'm sat a bit artificially high, but you do have a touch better visibility than modern cars, especially if you don't have the halo. Again, if a tyre's coming at you in one of these cars, the idea is that you just headbutt it out of the way and hope that your spine doesn't snap, rather than the car absorbing the impact. Entertainment first, safety second. That's the way of the past. So let's go here. I think that's more than enough fuel. Yeah, we're all good. Now, of the two VRC cars, the Williams is the easier to drive. Hang on, let's take off all the stuff off the screen. Full immersion. The Ferrari is really hard, but I would also say that the Williams is also, despite it being the easier of the two cars to drive, it is still very tricky. So you have to be super duper, whoop, through the middle, careful with the accelerator and brake application. With this car, I've actually turned down the, whoa, turned into me, Bob. I've actually turned down the brake sensitivity a touch, because the moment you lock up, especially if you're on load around corners, you're going to be going for a bit of a spin. Whoa, he just curbed himself there, went straight into the side of that car. This vehicle is particularly hard on some of the older bumpy tracks. Good luck trying to take this around Zandvoort, for example, and Brands Hatch is very hard. Mind you, modern circuits, Nürburgring GP, Donington's not too bad. Hang on, AI slow round here, we'll take advantage of that. Silverstone, the flattened out kind of circuits are actually a lot better if you're trying to get to grips with this car, because it doesn't unsettle it so much, so you've got less chance of just losing the rear. But look at that! Hello! So nice driving these in VR. I really love VRC's done a fantastic job. Whoa, I've just pushed them off the circuit. With the actual cockpit details of this as well. So the little digital display looks like some kind of Casio watch stuck in the front of the dash. But, it's really simple, but it gives you what you need to know. Your fuel level, your current speed, and the gear you're in. And with the VR headset, you've got the little cutout in the steering wheel, so you can see that display very nice and clear. It's on a black background, red on black. You're not going to accidentally miss your gears. Also, you'll notice the rev light in front of us that when you need to shift, you get a little green LED, tells you when to shift. You know, you're not going to miss it. It's really nice and obvious. And I think modern Formula 1 cars, you know, they're practically like a... Well, it is literally a old bloody computer system on the steering wheel. It's like, well, you know, at the end of the day, this tells you what you need to know, tells you what you need to do, and then you focus on smashing the car around the circuit and enjoying, hopefully not smashing your legs into the Armco. So, whoa, Christ, I've just got monged there. Let's try and get back on the circuit. Maybe I'll cut him off a little bit. Lit up the rears, coming back on the track. Oh, no. You don't want to stop on this part of the track. Go. Ah, what a bugger. I think that might have been my fault. I might have pulled out in front of the AI there. Let's get back on the tail. Come on, go start pushing here. So another aspect of this car you notice is, though it is really unforgiving if you light up the rears like we did there, or you go a bit too sideways, it really does get very unstable and you have to be super careful with catching it. Super delicate with the inputs. Once you kind of get into the flow of it and you kind of let the car do its own thing and work with what the car's doing, you can get into a really nice rhythm with it. And the fact that you have to be so precise on the brake and the accelerator and the steering input really sort of gets you zoned in as well. That's the one nice thing I think with tricky sim cars, though they can be frustrating to do races, especially longer races. When you're actually getting into it, that additional difficulty can add a bit to the immersion because you're so focused on not crashing. It's like the difference between tightroping 1 metre above the ground and tightroping across 2 buildings. You know, that risk of instant death changes the experience. Got to try and throw it through there. These cars are a little bit susceptible to the Assetto Corsa curbing on the tracks that you've got these slippy curbing, so you do have to be careful where you put the car on the curbing. Unlike some Formula vehicles, oh god, didn't take enough speed off there. You don't get the downforce bailing you out of the slippy curbing, so you do have to be careful of that. I guess these are also very low to the ground. Well, of course they're low to the ground, but you know, you can very easily with these Formula cars convert your car into an unintentional curbing roller coaster. Then you're just a passenger. Oh, there we go. Took that bump pretty well though. Absolutely awesome. I really love how you can see the brake discs on the inside of the wheels glowing red as you get on the... Oh, there we go. See, we got stuck in a bounce there to wait for it to settle down. Rather nicely, you also have the mirrors are just in the right place. Unfortunately, with the field of view of the valve index, you can just about see if I have to look over here. But as far as cars' mirrors go, normally, you know, you look when you're checking your mirrors. It's often when you're going into a corner. You've got your head looking at the apex. These mirrors are actually pretty well placed, and they're nice that they're not massive mirrors. They're just small little mirrors, but enough to let you know that you've got a car coming up your inside. It's really interesting when you drive cars in VR in simulators. You get to notice specific aspects of the vehicle that you'd not really ever consider. Both driving it in 2D on a monitor, but also if you just watch the cars on TV or something. The real beauty of driving simulators is that obviously it's nothing like the real thing, but it gives you a much better idea of the general experience of driving one of these vehicles. I guess you could get someone to sit at the bottom of your sim rig with a sledgehammer and when you inevitably do drive into the Armco, they can break your ankles, and then it would be actually fairly similar to a real thing. At the same time, you could have someone slapping you in the face with a plank of 2x4 to emulate the G-forces. But look at the size of the wheels on these as well. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the Ferrari. You got that with these cars. You really want to get on the throttle early. Whoa! Too much brake. Oh god, tyres too warm. You want to get on the throttle early and sort of power out the corner a touch, but if you scratch that itch too hard, you lost the rears and you're in trouble. Come on. Try and catch up with this guy. I definitely feel like with the default setups as well with this Williams is really nice. Pretty neutral. You can use the power to push it through the corners, and you can also quite nicely, once you actually don't lock up the wheels, but quite nicely on the braking, you can go in slightly too hot, lean on the fronts a little bit, and then use that to really find where the limit is for the maximum cornering speed. We're about to have a collision between East Midlands Airport plane and 2 fighter jets there. Right. I especially like the Bowser extrusions on the bonnet, which you notice particularly prominently in VR, but I'd never really noticed looking at these cars in TV. In TV, I've gone proper northern there. But all in all, you know, it's just an absolutely fantastic mod car. But look at that. I mean, just an absolutely incredible job. You've got all the cigarette advertising on there, Castrol, and of course, just like the 90s F1 car, you've got the holographic display around the driver. You know, spot on like reality. You really do have to get these cars from VRC, as I say. Download them, and we are racing them on Wednesdays in our Sim Racing System series. So also sign up to Sim Racing System if you haven't, and also get Content Manager. There's so many things to do, but they're all worth doing, so go ahead and do them. But there you go, guys. This was just a quickie. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Don't forget to click the like button if you enjoy this sort of thing, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.